All right, welcome to the Mindfulness Broadcast, everyone. As promised, I'm coming to you live from Lake Tahoe. It's been such an amazing, beautiful week here. Just stunning. I don't think we had one cloud in the sky. I hope we do soon. You can tell the water's pretty low, docks that end before the lake. But for my week here, it was really lovely to not have even one cloud in this lovely blue sky. All right. Well, while this is gorgeous and beautiful, I'm coming to you this morning with a little bit of a, and the many faces and the many ways of grief. And I know in our, state, in our life, in our, just our current world, and I know locally in Jackson and Josephine County, we've had fires. I know you all have had fires where you have been, and just continued loss, and for ourselves, for our friends, for our community. And so I just thought it would be a topic to continue to touch on this morning, and how mindfulness connects to grief. So, what we know about grief is that it is this kind of undefined, nebulous place. I think the closest thing we've gotten to I would say the deepest level of research around grief came many years ago in the Kubler-Ross grief cycle, which many of you know and are familiar with. But this idea of denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance, even in its depth of knowledge, really, we have misconstrued that in our current understanding of it. We often hear it as kind of prescriptive, like these are the cycles and this is what you will do, and you'll finally land in acceptance, which is not how that process goes. We might skip phases. We might not ever end in acceptance. We might find ourselves staying in denial for a very long time, or in anger for a very, very long time. And so we're kind of given this as this way that we're supposed to go through. And many of us find that doesn't actually align with our experience. And if you go a little deeper into the research around the Kubler-Ross grief cycle, what you'll learn is it was actually written for someone moving into death, our own personal journey into death, and not us on the other side processing the grief of death or of loss. And so while we apply it to ourselves, we are also, it wasn't written in that way. And so I say all that just to say it's a place where we land, where we find ourselves in grief, having our own loss, our own traumas, or witnessing that of others around us. And then it's kind of this undefinable space. And socially, we don't really have a place for it. And so it kind of acts as this seed. Like often what we find is there's this seed of grief, but then what grows out of that, what we witness, is anger, or depression, or behavior shifts, or cognitive disruptions because of something called grief brain. Like what we're witnessing is up here, but it stems from grief. The seed of that is grief. And so we might spend a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of money managing what we're seeing up top, but we're not going down and addressing that seed of grief, of loss, of the unknowing of what to do and how to process this, and what that's like. And so when we can mindfully be with grief, what it means is that we're going in, we're holding this seed, we're saying, this is grief. And maybe I don't know what to do here. I don't know how to define this. I don't know how to be with my friend through her grief. I don't know how to be with my colleague through their loss. I don't know how to be with myself, with my partner, through this process. And so it's just holding that compassionately and witnessing our experience of grief, letting go of any judgment of timelines. This should be all finished and wrapped up by, next Tuesday. Letting go of timelines for other people, letting go of that it should go like this and it should follow this grief cycle. Just letting go of any of those judgments, of those expectations, and just simply allowing grief to be there. And so when we feel rage or when we feel anger, being able to mindfully note, this is up here, what's underneath that? And often what we'll find if grief is present is that it's grief. And so how can I go back to mindfully being with my grief? And then the other thing is to remind ourselves is that, we might be still feeling grief from loss from decades ago, that these are, grief is something that continues to come up. That seed is generated, it generates new things all of the time for us to be able to sit with and say, this is grief still, and allowing space for that. I hope you find that helpful this morning. When you're ready, you can go ahead and close your eyes or allow your gaze to just gently rest upon something. As we talk about grief, you might find that your body has a response to that. And just notice that this morning. Notice your physical body, where there might be tension or energy. Just seeing if you can invite some relaxation into those areas of tightness. Breathing in and breathing out. Find a posture this morning that brings you into this practice intentionally. Finding your feet. Finding the stability in your pelvis and your bottom. Finding that energy go all the way up your spine, allowing the crown of your head to lift. And yet noticing if you go into stiffness. And again, inviting just a little relaxation there. We're bringing an attentive energy into our practice, being here on purpose. Allowing your breath to fill your head and then your chest and then your belly. And then a slow release from the belly, from the chest, from the head. And again, filling the head and the chest and the belly. Releasing the belly, the chest, and the head. Just allowing your breath to fall into its normal rhythm. Opening up your awareness through your ears right now, listening to what's around you. Allowing all of your energy to go into that. noting what you hear as you hear it. Noting when your mind wanders, and then just bringing it back to the sounds that are around you. Noting when you've gone into story, bringing yourself back to the sounds. Often we want our practice to be silent and quiet, and it's actually in the noise, it's in the chaos where we can bring ourselves into our practice, accepting what is, letting go of any expectation that the world will pause or make space for your practice. And instead, bringing your practice into the world that is. These are all part of it. They're not an interruption of our practice. And bringing your attention from your sounds, from the hearing, back into your breath. Feeling your feet again and your body again, finding that attentive posture. Taking notice if there was any intention or thought that came to you in the practice that you want to pull forward and bring with you into the day. And then slowly open your eyes, coming back together. Thank you. Thanks for being here, everyone. I appreciate you. I'm back on the road today, heading back to Southern Oregon, heading your way. Bye, everyone. Be well.